All right, dividends and costs. Well, while you're trying to meet these requirements, there are certain dividends that you achieve along the way. Similarly, as the forewarnings occur, there are certain costs that are imbued on the effort to achieve the goal, that the characters must suffer these costs along the way as the forewarnings occur that indicate the consequences nearby. So, for example, if you have the effort to get the key cards to overthrow Big Brother, then along the way you might, in stealing cards, find a card that also has the name and number of your long-lost girlfriend or boyfriend, and as such you then have the opportunity to contact this long-lost friend that you had, long-lost lover perhaps, that you wouldn't have had if you weren't trying to achieve the requirements. That's a dividend. A cost may be that as people are defecting to Big Brother, as the forewarnings, a cost would be that your own son or daughter or brother or something defects as well, and therefore you have to suffer that personal loss of a relationship in addition to losing the motive force of having your team whittled away. So the costs are related to the forewarning, to the consequence, just as the dividends are related to the requirements to the goal. Now, a lot of authors only have goals and very nebulous requirements. They may not even have a consequence or forewarnings. That is okay, but doesn't make a very limited experience. It only shows the positive side of what's trying to do, and there's this nebulous bad thing that will happen if you don't. Or suppose you have the goal and you have the requirements and you know what the consequence is, but you don't have any forewarnings, then you just have this hovering over your head like the dam of Sordocles, or perhaps the sword of Damocles, hanging over your head. Forewarnings indicate that it's starting to fall, it's starting to drop. What's holding it up is being torn away so that it's going to fall quicker, sooner, with more fury. That adds to the audience experience. Every time you can show not only what the audience is chasing, but what's chasing them, you get them in a push-me-pull you. You put the vice grip on their emotions, on their tension level, and make it a much more thrilling experience, a much more involving experience. A lot better to just, instead of having the audience say, oh, let's go achieve this thing, because wouldn't that be great, to say, yeah, but right behind you, this thing's gaining ground also. You're being chased as well. So you've not only got to get here, but if you get here before it catches you, not only do you get the good thing, but you avoid the bad. And the dividends and the costs are the perks and the penalties along the way. Now the last ones we have to explore, prerequisites and preconditions. Well, prerequisites are those essential things that must be put together in order for this to be achieved, for the requirements to be met so the goal can be achieved. For example, suppose we say that the goal is to recover the diamond that is hidden now in the hills on the other side of the desert. Well, the requirements would be to cross the desert to get to the hills so you can get the diamond. The prerequisites would be that you need a camel, and you need some water, and you need a guide, okay? So these things then, these prerequisites, they're the groundwork that has to be laid. Now again, you don't have to do that. All of these are additional story appreciations, they're called. Additional. None of them are actually required. Even a goal is not required. As long as the protagonist is driving the story forward, he doesn't necessarily have to drive it forward to a goal. But the story is enhanced by saying this is the goal of the story, and therefore it gives focus to the efforts of the plot. Down here you don't have to have prerequisites, but if you do have them, it adds to the richness of the plot. It gives more opportunity for things to happen, needful things to happen, in order to then meet the requirements to the goal. It gives you more depth. Similarly, preconditions are things that hold back the effort to achieve the goal, that drag you back closer to the consequence, that slow you up. What would be a precondition? Well, it could be that if you have to get the diamond, and in the requirements, cross the desert to get it, and therefore you need a camel and some water and a guide, there's a guy who can supply all this, but he'll only do it if you'll take his daughter or son along on the trip, who appear to be totally unqualified to make such a trip, the klutzy daughter or the klutzy son. That's a precondition. Prerequisites grow out of what is logically necessary to achieve the requirements to get to the goal. Preconditions grow out of what is emotionally necessary in order to, and they then enhance the speed or intensity of the forewarnings, which indicate that the consequence is gaining ground because you've been slowed up. This becomes something of an albatross. It is tacked on because of someone's insistence, not because of the necessity, but because of their emotional insistence. Okay? So preconditions can build up. Okay, yeah, I'm going to continue to help you in your effort to achieve the goal, but I'm not going another step unless you get me some fresh tea because I've been using this lousy tea bag for the last 14 days and I'm tired of it. Okay, that is a precondition. And now that we see these 8, we can see the pattern that they make. How they relate side to side, one to another, for the things that move you closer to the goal, closer forward, closer towards the positive, and the things that hold you back and bring you closer to being stuck with the negative. And similarly, side by side, there is a balance, a symmetry between the two at each level. Understanding these conceptually is one thing. Understanding how they work in stories is quite another. And to that end, I have a number of video clips to show you tonight that will illustrate each of these at work in well-known stories.